Alright guys, so we're looking at question 62, which is our last question of our final test review packet. Congratulations, you've made it. You're almost done. So our question is asking us to graph the system of inequalities, and we are given the two inequalities. Y is greater than or equal to x squared, and the second inequality is x plus y is greater than 2. So I'm going to start out by graphing our first inequality, which, if you notice, will be a parabola because its parent function is y is equal to x squared. So let's go ahead and let's plot some test points into this so we know where to start it. So I'm going to make a t-chart for our x and y values. I'm going to start out at 0. So when our x is 0, you're going to have y is equal to 0 squared. 0 squared is 0, so your y will also be 0. Next, I'm going to test out 1. Y is equal to 1 squared. 1 squared is 1, so your y will be 1. Next, I'm going to test out 2. So when y is 2 squared, 2 squared is 4, so your y will be 4. And one last point I'll choose is 3. Y is equal to 3 squared. 3 squared is 9. So when your x is 3, your y is 9. So let's go ahead and plot these points. 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, 9. And we're going to do the same exact side for the left side of our y-axis because it is a parabola and it does mirror itself. So let's go ahead and do 1, 1, negative 2, 4, negative 3, 9. And we know that since it is an inequality with a greater than and equal to bar on the bottom, it's going to be a solid line. So let's go ahead and draw that solid line. Now that we have it graphed, we need to know where we shade for this first inequality. So I'm going to go ahead and use a test point, and you can choose any test point you like. It can be inside the parabola, it can be outside the parabola, whatever floats your boat. But I'm going to go ahead and work with a point 0, 1. So let's go ahead and we're going to plug that test point into our original inequality. Y is greater than or equal to x squared, and see if it gives us a true or false statement. So when we have our 1 as our y, x squared is 0 squared, you're going to get 1 is greater than 0 squared, or 0 squared is 0. 1 is greater than 0. So this is a true statement, meaning you're going to shade everywhere inside of your parabola since that test point lies inside of your parabola. Now that we have our first inequality graphed and shaded, let's go ahead and work with our second inequality. X plus y is greater than 2. So as you can see, it's not in slope-intercept form. So let's go ahead and let's get it into slope-intercept form. Y is equal to mx plus b. So to do that, we want to isolate our y value. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides, which will get us y is greater than negative x plus 2. So now we have that. We have where our slope is negative 1 and our y-intercept is positive 2. So let's go ahead and graph that. We're going to start at the point positive 2. We're in our slope's negative, so we're going to go down towards the right, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, and repeat that until we get an entire set of points that we can draw our line through to make it as accurate as possible. And I'm going to go up into the left-hand quadrant so that we can get this accurate going towards the top. So again, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1 until we get into the tippy corner so we can have an accurate graph. And we know, looking at this inequality sign, there's no or equal to bar at the bottom. So this will be a dashed line for us. So let's go ahead and draw a dashed line. I'm going to draw it to the best of my ability for you guys. Now that we have our line drawn, we can go ahead and figure out what shaded region we need for that inequality. So I'm going to use a test point, and the easiest one to use in this case is going to be 0, 0. So I'm going to go ahead and take our test point 0, 0, plug it into our original inequality. So you're going to get 0 is greater than negative 0 plus 2, which will give you the statement 0 is greater than positive 2. 0 is greater than positive 2, and this is a false statement, meaning you're going to shade where that point 0, 0 is not. So in our case, it is above our inequality line. So when we shade that, since it is above the line, we're going to shade it right in this region where that point 0, 0 is not. Now we can see that we have multiple regions of shading, and the only regions that we want left is where the two inequality shaded regions overlap. And looking at our graph, we can see it's this navy blue region right here of our graph. So that is where we want to keep, because if we kept this section, it's going to be outside of our parabola, which does not satisfy its test point. And if we keep this section right here, it outlies that region for our inequality, our second inequality, which is the dashed line. And we don't want that because it does not satisfy its test point. So that's why we keep our shaded region, because it satisfies both test points for both of the inequalities. So let's go ahead and let's get rid of those other shaded regions that do not overlap. Now that we've erased all the places that aren't overlapped, this is what you'll be left with, and this is your final graph for the system of inequalities. Good job, you guys. You've made it to the end of the semester. Congratulations. And as always, leave a comment below if you have any further questions that you would like explained. We will go ahead and do that as soon as we see them. Thank you for watching.